my name is Jake. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm a registered nurse, real estate investor, and business owner. And on today's episode, we're going to talk all about real estate terms. Terms that have taken me the last 3 to 4 years to kind of learn and wrap my head around. And my job is to kind of condense those thousands of hours of podcasts and dozens of books where I kind of started understanding all of this stuff into, shorter videos so you can try to wrap your head around it as well, maybe a lot quicker than it took me, right? So this video is broken down into 3 sections. Section number 1 is mortgage and lending terms that are important to know. Section number 2 is for general real estate terms, maybe transactional terms. And section number 3 is all about real estate investing terms. So let's get through these and definitely leave here having a better understanding of all of this stuff. So first off, mortgage. What is a mortgage? Essentially, you're going to the bank, they're giving you a loan to buy a property. That's all a mortgage is. You're making them a mortgage payment each month, and that's it. There's a few different types of mortgages. FHA, Federal Housing Authority, is essentially a program that is meant to get people to become homeowners. They require less down payment, they require lower credit score, and they are okay with a higher debt to income ratio. So people that wouldn't normally qualify for a conventional mortgage, which a conventional mortgage is backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you have to put 5% down, and the credit requirement's a little bit higher, the debt to income ratio is a little bit lower for conventional, not so much for FHA. So there's the 2 main owner-occupied type loans. There's also, other loans like vacation home rental loans, investment loans, and so on. So those are all different types of mortgages you'll have on the property. All of those mortgages will require a down payment unless you're getting a VA loan. If you have served in the military, if it's not a VA loan, which is 0%, everything else is going to require some type of down payment for those. FHA is 3.5%, conventional is 5%, sometimes as low as 3% depending on qualification. Vacation home rental is anywhere from 10 to 15%. Investment can be anywhere from 15 to 25%. Next, closing costs. Closing costs on a mortgage are going to vary with the mortgage lender that you're using. If it's a conventional type 30-year mortgage, or if it's a shorter mortgage, there'll be different kind of fees associated with that. All those fees are called your closing costs. If you're a buyer, you should always try to get your seller to pay for closing costs. However, sometimes, especially in competitive markets like I have out here in Seattle, buyers usually always pay for closing costs, which is kind of the way it is. Next, it's a PITI, or your PITI payment. So all that is it's your mortgage payment, but it's broken down into 4 parts. It's your principal that you pay towards the actual principal balance you have on the loan. It's your interest that you're paying to have that loan each month. It's your taxes and your insurance. It's called PITI, PITI payment. It goes directly to the lender. The lender kind of does everything else with it, pays your taxes and your insurance for you, and you are good to go. Next, it's equity. What is equity? I think we all have a good idea of what equity is, but equity is the amount you owe on your loan versus what it's worth. There's a difference in there, and that's the equity. That goes towards your net worth. That is a value, a positive value. Well, hopefully it's positive value, right? A HELOC is a term, it's a home equity line of credit. So if you have that equity in your property, you can go to the bank and tell them, I want to put a line of credit against that equity. And they'll give you a line of credit. I have a line of credit that I've used to acquire other real estate. Said, $200,000 of equity in my house. So I went and got a 125 or 130 $1,000 line of credit against that equity. Took that money, deposit it into my account, went and acquired other real estate with it, and pay it back over time. Maybe if I flip a property, it'll be very quick. That HELOC money is usually used for like shorter term investments where you can get it paid back quickly. Next, it's LTV, loan to value. So when you go to get a conventional loan or say FHA loan, you're going to get a loan to value of 95 to 97%. So they're giving you, if your house is worth $100,000, say, just to use simple terms, and you get a loan, you got to put 5% down, right? You put $5,000 down, Now they're giving you a loan of 95% loan to value. It's an important term to know. Section number 2, we're going to go over general real estate terms. So these ones you probably have heard before, maybe don't exactly know what they are. Let's just break them down super quick. A real estate broker, a real estate agent, a realtor, those are all terms that are used interchangeably. A broker is somebody that is licensed in that state to sell real estate. Same thing as an agent, same thing as a realtor. They're all the same, use them interchangeably. Don't let anybody confuse you. Title and escrow. Title is essentially when you go to sell your car, who's on title? You're on title, so nobody else can sell your car besides you. Same thing with houses. When a buyer goes to buy a car, use a title company to make sure that title is in that seller's name and they are okay to sell that house. There's no liens against it, or there's nothing fishy going on. So title companies are super important, and they usually involve an escrow company, which an escrow company is essentially a third-party company that you put, or a third-party bank account, an escrow account that you put money into, like your earnest money that you have to put down, or sometimes they'll do taxes and insurance and escrow, and then pay that out of escrow. Escrow is a third-party company that has a bank account that makes payments on the behalf of individuals. Next, inspection. Inspection is you get a third-party inspector to go look at property that you have under contract or you want to buy. They look at it from head to toe, make sure everything is good. Chances are everything's not good. There's going to be some stuff that you need to address or need to fix most of the time. And you try to get the seller to do that and the seller to pay for it so you don't have to do it. In a competitive market like Seattle, sometimes you have to waive your inspection or your offer is just not going to be accepted. Highly suggest not doing that. Always get an inspection of some sort to make sure you're buying what you think you're buying. I have waived my inspection contingency and I've been fine, and I've waived my inspection contingency and I've regretted it. So been on both ends of the spectrum. Highly suggest just get an inspection. Next, appraisal. What is an appraisal? Appraisal is a third-party person will go out and appraise your property. They'll look at it, they'll look at the land, they'll look at the house, the finishes, the layout, the bedroom count, the bathroom count, and then they'll go and look at the neighborhood. What has sold in the last 0 to 6 months within a half mile or a mile from that house? And they'll see all these comparable sales, and they'll find the ones that are most like yours, and they'll determine a value out of that. It would be very similar to those ones. And that's how residential real estate is valued, is like just comparable sales. An escalation clause. What's an escalation clause? Essentially all it is I put an offer for $400,000 and I have a $5,000 escalation clause that says if you get an offer after mine, I will pay $5,000 more than whatever that offer that those people submitted is. So say I offered $400,000, they offered $408,000. Well, my offer automatically bumps up to $413,000. Now, when you do an escalation clause, you want to have a cap, right? So a cap is I will do $5,000 more than any other offer, up to $430,000 per se. It's a good tool to use when you are purchasing real estate in a competitive market that's going to have multiple offers. Next and last for general real estate terms, and we'll get into the super fun stuff, is a transaction coordinator. A transaction coordinator is super underrated. They're so valuable. They take over, as far as the organization and really paying attention to how the transaction goes. So they take over and they start paying attention. As soon as something's under contract, they'll keep everybody organized. They'll send you a template with all of your important dates where your inspection needs to be done by, your appraisal needs to be done by, your closing date, and they'll keep everybody on track. Good transaction coordinators are truly invaluable. So the third part of this video, we're going to go over investing terms, real estate investing terms, and strategies, and kind of define what they are. So a wholesaler is essentially, say I'm a wholesaler. I go to a seller, I get a property under contract, we both sign, says I can buy this property for $300,000. I take that property, I assign it, the rights to buy it, to a flipper for $315,000. So they pay $315,000 on the property, we close, seller gets $300,000, I get 15. That's how I make my money. I did hard work to find this property. I get $15,000 for selling it. That's what wholesaling is. Flipping is essentially kind of what I just explained when you're this guy over here. Go to a wholesaler, find a good property. He's going to buy the property, fix it up, make it nice, make it HGTV ready, and then sell it for a profit. Short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, and long-term rentals. So short-term rentals, you kind of know what those are: Airbnb, VRBO. You're renting out a furnished unit for a minimum 1 night to 30 nights. It's a short-term rental. Mid-term rental is that 30-day to 90-day or 30-day to 6 months is a mid-term rental. And then long-term rental is usually an unfurnished, sometimes furnished, but usually unfurnished 12-month lease, and it's a long-term rental. No furnish, no like nightly rental or anything like that. Longer term. Next is house hacking. House hacking is my favorite strategy. So I'm actually under contract right now as I make this video in February of 2023 on a triplex in Lake Taft, Washington. I'm gonna live in one unit and rent out the other. That's what house hacking is. You live in one unit of a multifamily and you rent out the other units, covers my mortgage, I live for free. Or you live in one house in one of the bedrooms and you rent out all the other bedrooms and then you live for free. Depends on how your family's made up, if you have children, kind of if you have a partner that's on the same page, all that stuff kind of comes into play. But house hacking is this great strategy. You can buy these properties with low down payments, 3 to 5%, and essentially live for free, and you can scale this and do it a few times. So the BRRRR method is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. You buy a property, you renovate it like you would if you were to flip it, but instead of selling it, you rent it out, you refinance it, and then you repeat it. It's the BRRRR method. David Green from biggerpockets.com has a great BRRRR book. Highly suggest picking that up. Multifamily investing, or multifamily, what is that? So there's 2 different types of multifamily. There's 2 to 4 units, residential multifamily, and there's 5 to infinity, right? Large commercial multifamily. I wouldn't say large, I would say commercial, because there's mid multifamily, like 5 to 30 units, depending on who you're talking to, and then there's larger multifamily. Multifamily investing is great. It's highly suggest getting into it sooner rather than later. Buying a 10 unit is not 10 times harder than buying a 1 unit. That is a myth. It's truly not. And so don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right, so now we get into the super fun stuff. This is like my bread and butter. OPM, other people's money. It's a term you want to build your wealth with other people's money. So for example, OPM, when I go to the bank and I buy an owner-occupied, house hack like I'm doing right now, and I'm using 95% somebody else's money because I'm putting 5% down, I'm using the bank's money to build my wealth. I'm leveraging that money to build my wealth. That is cheat code, but it gets better, right? Because there's hard money lenders. It's a very expensive, high interest rate, pay more fees, but you can use this money, put minimal down, flip a property, make 50K profit, all by using a hard money lender. You're using somebody else's money. The deal just has to be good enough profit for it to work. Hard money lenders are good for short-term loans. Private money is where it's at. It is the best thing that I ever learned is private money lending. This comes from friends, from family, from associates, from coworkers, from people you built relationships with that trust you. I can say I got a good deal. It's very early in the morning right now. By lunchtime, I could have $200,000 committed, $500,000 committed towards that deal. These are people that will loan you money for a good return, a return on their investment. It's private money. You pay anywhere from 6 to 12% on private money. So it's a great tool to use to build your own wealth. It comes with a lot of responsibility. You're taking somebody else's money and using it. Better be dang sure that's a good deal. Next is creative financing. So creative financing is an umbrella for a bunch of different strategies to acquire real estate without having to use the bank. So 2 of those strategies, seller financing and subject to. Seller financing is essentially, if I were to go put my car on Craigslist because I wanted to sell it and say, I will take payments for my car. I will finance it for you. As far as I will be the bank, you make me payments. We can get as creative as want with terms. I bought real estate with 0% down, 0 interest rate for, I just make payments each month until they're paid off. And you can get as creative as you want. You don't have to go to the bank. That's the greatest thing. We don't have to go to the bank. That's seller financing. And then subject to, so something I've, more recently started learning and acquiring real estate using subject to. So essentially what it is you go to Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller. I see you have this property here and you're looking to sell it. You need to sell it for whatever reason. I will buy that property from you subject to the existing mortgage staying in place in your name. And I'll make the monthly payments for you, and you can, kind of wash your hands with it and walk away, right? Why would somebody do this? Well, because don't put your brain in their head. You don't know what they're going through. They could get divorced, they could be ready for bankruptcy, they could be, in a hard situation, somebody died, and they just need to get rid of the property. Happens all the time, promise you. So if they have a bunch of equity in the house, you could offer them a down payment, or you could offer them payments each month on their equity, in addition to taking over their mortgage, depending on how good of a deal it is. So it's subject to the existing mortgage staying in place. That's what subject to is for as far as a strategy. I hope all this was helpful. We went over mortgage lending terms, real estate terms, and some investing strategy terms. If you found this was valuable, please send it to somebody that would benefit from it. If you want to learn more, continue watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thank you.